Ever wondered what a life overflowing with abundance and filled with infinite possibilities could look for you? Drop all your notions of worldly logic and pragmatism for a minute, and begin to imagine in your mind's eye the life of your wildest, most far-fetched dreams. Picture yourself rejoicing with all the riches and peace of mind you crave. See yourself living every moment to the fullest, in perfect health with your loved ones. Now that you have mentally tasted the deliciousness of your perfectly curated, desired life, let me tell you that it very well is within your might to make it come alive. The legendary Bob Proctor said, "Thoughts become things. If you can see it in your mind, you will hold it in your hand." This 3D world and all that it contains is man's consciousness crystallized into things and objects. Matter and mind are inseparable, but it is actually the mind that gives birth to matter, not the other way around. But you haven't been able to exploit the potential of your own mind because you haven't paid attention to how it is arranged. The outer world of form is, in fact, a direct reflection of your inner world, composed of thoughts, feelings, and ideas. When you think a thought over and over again, it becomes engraved within the layers of the subconscious as a belief. Think of a belief as a perceptive filter through which you view the world. That belief, when persisted upon, quickly begins to translate itself in the physical realm as situations and circumstances. So to change your outer world, you need to make changes in your mind. Neville gives us the example of a bar of steel. A magnetized bar doesn't differ from an unmagnetized bar of steel in terms of composition. It is composed of the same atoms and molecules. But what creates the difference between these two bars is the arrangement of molecules within them. Just a mere shift in the arrangement of atoms, and you have yourself a much more powerful magnetized bar. Similarly, coal and diamond are both made up of the basic element carbon. But what makes one so ordinary and the other so valuable? Again, it's the arrangement of carbon atoms within the material. A rich man and a poor man have been gifted with the same faculties of mind, but what makes the rich man rich is how he has restructured the mind to see the world. Such a man perceives the world as an oasis of opportunities rather than an abyss of misery. He sees abundance where the poor man sees lack. He dreams of a prosperous future while the poor man stays stuck in the cycles and traumas of the past. There is nothing wrong with being poor, and neither is the rich man any better than the poor man. It's just how the rich man uses his mind that yields him bounties of wealth and opulence. And every human has the potential to rearrange his mind and alter the course of his life. It's not an honor reserved for a few. Everyone can make the best out of his circumstances with the help of his all-powerful mind. So, how does one go about it? How can a layman who has no idea about Neville or any of his teachings still use his knowledge to prosper spiritually and materially in this realm? You are about to satisfy all your curiosities as we embark on a journey that will lead you to pastures that are even more magnificent than you could have ever imagined. Be it your health problems, your financial insecurity, or something else, you can transform all of that by just reorganizing your mind following the methods and concepts we are about to delve into in this video. The primary aspect of any manifestation is the need for a creator who can transmute energy and bring something to life. Interestingly, traditional religious thought has falsely perpetuated the belief that it is only God or a deity that has a monopoly over creation, and has reduced the state of man to that of a mere witness of his life events. But that concept of God is outdated and not spiritually aligned. God is not an entity, but the collective consciousness that flows through every atom in the universe. The divine intelligence, hence, is present in everything that it has created, be it a galaxy, nature, or man. Almost all of the esoteric teachers and spiritual sages of all times and ages have unanimously agreed with this fundamental truth that God and man are one. This is neither blasphemous nor bizarre, but the very basic fact of our existence. And because people don't appreciate the God within them, they don't realize that the power to create their reality is deep within their own awareness. It's man's imagination and consciousness that are at the very source of every scenario unfolding in his life. In Neville's words, your own wonderful human imagination is the actual creative power of God within you. It is your savior. If you were thirsty, water would be your savior. If you needed a job, employment would be your savior. Your imagination is the power to save you from whatever circumstances you now find yourself. You can experience your heart's desire through the use of your imagination. Nothing is impossible to your imagination. Your imagination is unlimited in what it can accomplish. If you can imagine something, you can achieve it. Once you are comfortable with being at the very center of all your troubles and all your triumphs, you are essentially ready to take the next step in manifesting your desires. That is to choose a desire that sets your heart on fire. Manifestation requires mental rewiring and some behavioral modifications. You need to have an end goal that you are serious about, so all the efforts you put in don't make you quit halfway through the journey, but gear you to push harder. If you are lukewarm about getting your desire, manifestation might not work for you. You need to go all in. You must go all in. Even if it means leaving behind your comfort zone and stepping into deep waters, you must be willing to see it all the way through, just because the end goal matters so much to you. Napoleon Hill mentions this as a burning desire that wouldn't let you rest or step back in even the direst of circumstances. Not everyone in this world gets to be successful, nor do they get to create their dream life. This privilege is for the dreamers, the risk-takers, who feed their desires with all their passion and then pursue them relentlessly. You might be stuck in a wheelchair right now, so your burning desire could be to see yourself walking again. You might be sick of no progress in your career, so your burning desire could be to set up a successful business. Only you have the right to choose what desire you want to feed your attention or energy to, so make sure you are as specific as possible. Do not listen to what other people want for you, or what opinions they hold about what you want. If you do that, you will forever be stuck in their games and won't be able to decide what your heart truly desires. Your desire only has to make sense to you, and it must bring fulfillment to your life. That's the only thing that matters. Next, create a mental scene that would signify that your desire has now come to fruition. In one of his lectures, Neville tells the story of when he was drafted into the military against his will. Neville was clear from the beginning that he didn't want to do anything with the war and serving in the military, so he rearranged his mind and imagined himself as a free man, honorably discharged from the army. While Neville desired to be discharged from the army, he had to listen to other people's opinions around him. Some said it was not morally the right thing to do since the country was in the middle of a war. Others said that leaving the army was akin to abandoning one's homeland in times of hardship. But Neville was firm in his intention. He did not care what anyone said or thought about his decision. This was his personal matter, he thought to himself, and only he had the right to choose the best course for his life. That's the level of commitment one must establish towards the desire that no matter what happens or what anyone thinks, you dare to see yourself living with your wish fulfilled. Neville Goddard was known for metaphorically deciphering the scriptures. He learned this art from his teacher Abdullah, an Ethiopian rabbi whom Neville met when he came to the United States. Under Abdullah's guidance, Neville gained the insight that the stories in the Bible were meant to convey a much deeper message and hence must be understood metaphorically. In the book of James it says, "But be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man observing his natural face in a mirror. For he observes himself, goes away, and immediately forgets what kind of man he was. But he who looks into the perfect law of liberty and continues in it, and is not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this one will be blessed in what he does." Neville applied and taught this passage as an invitation to the perfect law of liberty, meaning the assumption that man is free to choose what he desires for himself, and then persevere in the assumption. Persisting in the assumption of wish fulfilled is the most important aspect of Neville's teachings, because unless a man shows willful determination towards what he wants, the desire cannot be translated into 3D reality. While Neville was trying to get discharged from the army, he wrote a letter with the request to his colonel. Within 24 hours, he got the paper back with a big, disapproved stamp on his letter. This minor setback in the world of Caesar did not dissuade Neville from chasing his desire and believing in its fulfillment. That is how firm and steadfast an individual must be for his most passionate, heartfelt desires. The current reality, 3D or the world of Caesar, as Neville likes to call it, is nothing but a manifestation of your old thought patterns and assumptions. So when you begin with a brand new desire, the results won't show themselves instantaneously. and every time you look into the 3D for reassurance, you will be disappointed. This is just how the process of manifestation goes, so you need to learn the art of ignoring the 3D world until it fully aligns with your desires. After receiving the letter of disapproval for his discharge request, instead of dwelling on why it happened, Neville decided to abide by the law of perfect liberty. He intrinsically knew that if he kept assuming the feeling of being discharged and being with his wife and daughter, his mental vision would soon override the physical reality. That is when Neville created a scene of himself being in his New York City apartment on Washington Square. At night, as Neville went to sleep in the Army base camp, he assumed the feeling that he was reunited with his family after getting discharged from the Army. In his imagination, he rejoiced in the comfort of sleeping next to his wife and daughter. To make the scene more realistic, Neville added more dimensions to the scene, such as remembering the rooms in his apartment, the floor his apartment was located at. He perfectly rearranged his mental structure that night to depict him sleeping in his own bed in New York, rather than sleeping with other men in the Army camp. Then he imagined holding his request paper in his hand, scratched off the word disapproved, and rewrote it as approved. This special technique Neville utilized is called SATES, or the state akin to sleep. State akin to sleep derives its name from a state man encounters between total wakefulness and deep sleep. This state of consciousness borders on the edges of sleep, where one's mind is naturally in a trance or a hypnagogic state. In this state, the conscious mind ceases to disturb one's focus, and hence, the gateways to the subconscious are wide open. Whatever ideas or feelings you embrace in this state are directly imprinted onto the layers of the subconscious. The subconscious, being the master creator, works to bring those feelings to reality. You can naturally enter a state akin to sleep at night, or use a relaxing meditation to facilitate the calming of the central nervous system. Practice this technique when you are done with all your tasks for the day and can go to sleep soon afterward. Once you have induced the hypnagogic state, bring about a scene in your mind that makes you feel as if you are living in your future with your manifested desires. Add as many sensory cues as possible, such as touch, sound, and taste, to make the imaginal scene more realistic. The purpose of the imaginal scene is to evoke feelings of wish fulfilled in your mind and body. These feelings can be a sense of contentment, happiness, or even ecstasy. Depends on what your desire is and how reaching the culmination would make you feel. Once your mind is fully immersed in the emotions of your desired future, you are done with your SATS practice, and you can go to sleep carrying the same feelings in your heart and mind. Neville continued with his SATS practice for 9 days straight. While he did SATS at night, he would spend the rest of his day assuming that his wish was now fulfilled. And finally, after 9 days of staying true to his desire day in and day out, Neville turned the wheel in his favor. The very same colonel who had previously disapproved of Neville's request signed it as approved. That's how Neville manifested his desire to be honorably discharged from the army by daring to believe in the assumption. This right here is the secret sauce, the magic potion needed to change your desires into full-fledged, living and breathing manifestations. All you need is to rearrange your mind so that instead of revolting against you, it becomes your most trusted confidant on the journey of manifestation.